Oh, no, let's see, what time are we at? Do you want, yeah, good. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, let me do just a little bit of a set the tone. Hi, everybody. I know some of these peeps are my people. I would imagine there's some people I don't know either. Hi, Jimmy. So glad you just joined us. We are recording tonight. What my idea and intention with this, so these awesome guys here, John and Stefan, I've been talking with them for the last week, just trying to learn all I can about cryptocurrency and to just start getting a little bit of a insight on what this whole world is about. And it's pretty fascinating, really exciting, and brand new to me. So I'm a newbie. We're not going to specifically talk about what's happening with PNB tonight because we're all going to find out a lot more about that this Friday. So what I wanted to do was just invite these guys who are so much more the expert than me to come in and just share what they're excited about cryptocurrency in general. So I'm going to let you take it over. John, you ready?
Yeah, you bet. Hello,
Awesome.
everybody. My name is John Caldwell, and I'm a financial consultant, and I own a company called The One Stop Money Shop, and my website's theonestopmoneyshop.com. I'll put it in the link in the bottom so you can kind of see everything that I do. But basically, I'm an educator. I teach people how money works and take you from square one, looking at your credit and figuring out where you are in your financial world, and then kind of developing a blueprint on what your opportunities are. Because lots of people don't understand that having good credit gives you a lot of opportunity. And throughout the process of starting with your credit and possibly fixing credit if you have any derogatories, and then rebuilding your credit and getting you bankable, and then teaching you how to talk to the banks correctly and walking into a bank feeling confident that you know what to say to get the loan instead of getting turned down. Because most people, when they walk in the bank, they say the wrong thing right off the bat. So I teach you kind of how the banks think and how they look at you so that you get approved. Then once you have money in your hands, then it's pretty much up to you what you want to do with it. A lot of people, I try to figure out what their passion is, and I try to help them figure out where their passion can turn into a career. Because I like people to be happy in their jobs. Too many people these days are unhappy in their job. And so I try to help people, give them the power to have the financing to start that business that they've always wanted to be passionate about, right? But a few years back, I came across Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and I started digging into the differences between our current paper money and cryptocurrency. And I learned something very, very important that I think everybody should understand. And it's just the basic difference between our paper money and what Bitcoin is. And not many people understand what the difference is. And they're too scared or unsure about this new type of currency. So I tried to break it down in a really simple way, because a lot of people, when they ask, what Bitcoin is, they get into what blockchain is, and they get this huge, complicated description of what Bitcoin is. And I don't like that. I really want to simplify it. And the way I came up with a good way to explain it is imagine for yourself right now a huge vault like they have in a bank. And imagine that vault had exactly 21 million gold coins. And these gold coins can be used to buy any product or any service, and it can be sent from anybody, anywhere on the planet instantly with nothing but a cell phone, and the cost would be super cheap, and it would be instantaneous transaction. If there's only 21 million of them, would you not want to have one of those gold coins that could be used to purchase anything? Yes, everybody, right? Because why? Because it's rare. There's only a certain amount of it, right? And that's the difference. Our paper money that we have in our wallet right now is heavily manipulated because they can print more of it. And by printing more dollars, it devalues the purchasing power of our money on a daily basis. We wonder why the cost of services and products are constantly going up. It's not because the cost of production is going up. Cost of production should be going down with automation, but costs keep going up because they print more money, and they're legally stealing legally taxing us by just printing more money. So Bitcoin was created to stop that. And it's the most sound form of currency out there. And once you understand that, you will never put money in a savings account at a bank again. You will always put it into cryptocurrency, because over time, it will always outperform the dollar. Because the dollar, actually 98% of the dollar is completely destroyed. We're at the end of a fiat money cycle, and cryptocurrency is the banking of the future. And so I'm trying to teach as many people as possible about this so that you can basically jump the track to the new currency system before the masses do. Because once the masses do, it'll become mainstream, and you won't get to see the biggest rate of appreciation that you do in the early adopter phase. Because right now, only about 2% of the population is actively using a cryptocurrency. And when you're between 1% and 3%, you're in that phase they call like the pre-adopter phase, okay? And then from 3 to 15%, you're in the early adopter phase. The early adopter phase is when you see the highest rate of appreciation in any asset. It's called the S curve. And so you want to get into this type of a currency or asset, I call it, as soon as possible. And just start allocating a little bit here and there, and you'll see the difference. So I have a lot of information to share. I know you guys have a lot of questions. I'm going to turn it over to Stefan, let him introduce himself, and give you another little piece of advice.
Hey, John, you know what I would love to ask first is if everybody else can mute out, because I think we're getting a little bit of feedback from some. Yeah. Does everybody know how to mute themselves out? Or John, do you want to mute everyone and then?
I got it all taken care of. And then go ahead and unmute Stefan there. Perfect. Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, John. Stefan Galley here. And so, yeah, I'm in love with cryptocurrency for sure. I'm from a little bit different background than John. I run a couple businesses over the last 15 years or so. I'm a arborist. So I run a tree trimming business. And about, a year ago or so, when cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, when I really kind of saw that for what it was, it really kind of transformed and rewired my brain. And since then, I've really been dedicating any of my spare time to researching it, and now getting to the point where I feel comfortable to pass along the message. To echo a lot what John was saying. Yeah, it's a new form of money that has the potential to revolutionize the entire planet, and could see this really being bigger than the internet. And we are in that early adopter phase, so just kind of out of the innovator stage, going into that early adopter phase. And not only is the currency aspect really fascinating and being able to take over fiat, but the blockchain technology is an incredible technology that I believe will really can lift up the entirety of humanity, and all like so many marginalized and repressed individuals, cultures, societies will have access to be on a level playing field of really even the elite few that have run the world for so long. It really has the opportunity to level that playing field if it's done in the correct manner. There's also could be a dark side to blockchain if we're not vigilant on the direction that it takes. So that's where I'm at. But really, yeah, just shifting my focus from when I first started about a year ago. And once I saw the potential for blockchain, I really decided to dedicate my life to it. And so one other thing, so when I focus on the blockchain, but I also am really enthusiastic about trading. And so I trade cryptocurrencies on a daily basis. And so that's not only the blockchain, but also becoming a trader of of cryptocurrencies, which I think is a little bit different than the focus we are on tonight. But I'm free. If anybody does want more information on that, we can maybe even do a separate talk on trading cryptocurrencies. This is cryptocurrency 101, blockchain, and then do the trading cryptocurrencies or something. So yeah, I'm glad you guys are here, and thanks for having me on.
Love that. Hey, I'd love to actually kind of ask a question that either of you guys can kind of get going with. Can you speak? I'm hearing now, having talked with both of you a couple of times, and really hearing about this early adoption phase. Can you just go into that more and what the value of that is, in the sense of, if for those of us that are getting curious about this and wanting to start playing in this arena, like can you kind of break that down a little bit more as to what does that really mean, that early adoption phase? What's the potential here? What does that look like perhaps maybe for the next, year or so, in the sense of what's going to be happening in the crypto world?
Yeah, definitely. So whenever there's what's called scarcity, and what drives the price of Bitcoin is the usability and it having a limited supply. So whenever there's a limited supply, and then more people start to use it, then the value increases, right? When something's rare, and then the more people that are adopting it and using it, the higher the value and the price goes. So the more people that start to adopt it into their daily life and trading it back and forth, the higher the value of it is going to be, because more people are going to desire that currency. So when it goes through this early adoption phase in any asset, you can go back in time and look at any stock. Whenever anything, like even the internet, when the tech stocks first came out, in the beginning stages, they were very volatile. They were spiking up high and going down low. But the people that got in early at Yahoo and Facebook and all these other, really high stocks right now, like Amazon, the ones that got in early were the ones that are benefiting the most right now. So the early adoption phase in any investment is the best. And when there's scarcity, limited supply of something, that there can't be the type of manipulation that there is right now with the fiat currency. It can't be flooded with more of it. So what am I trying to say? The value of it can't be spread out and reduced by just printing more. Okay.
Which is what our banking system does right now. They just print more money whenever they want, and so devalue the fiat, the U.S. dollar. One interesting little fact that I just came across was that if every millionaire on the planet wanted to own one Bitcoin, there's not enough Bitcoin for that to happen. So if you think about the scarcity, like you're saying, John, as more people buy into that, the potential for Bitcoin to be worth, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars is a very real reality that can take place just based on the scarcity and based on the fact that there can't be any more. A little caveat is there's ways of like hard fork, and there are a lot of different cryptocurrencies. So there is more of that. But as far as Bitcoin being the first and totally decentralized, there's a huge upside to that. And being in that early adopter phase is just the beginning. The innovators are the first, and they're like super risky because there's been other cryptocurrencies that started and then went to zero. And started and went to zero before Bitcoin actually made it out of the innovation stage and now into the early adopter phase. We're just moving into that early adopter phase then it's the early majority, late majority, and then the laggards. And so we're right there on that cusp before, and the market's been going down for the last 6 months. It's gone down dramatically since its high of almost $20,000. It's down to, $6,500 today. And so there'll be an accumulation phase, and then there'll absolutely be another run up. Some people there's pretty outrageous claims for how much Bitcoin's going to be worth here in the future. But we're still in that, just really the beginning of the early phase, in my opinion.
And when you're saying accumulation, you're meaning like that's a time where it's a really awesome time to accumulate it, to get a hold of it, to hold it, to ride out the waves. So can either of you speak to because it's been interesting, just diving into this whole world. Can either of you speak to this piece of, the rumor or whatever, that a lot of that big money in the banks and the big heavy hitter, financial people are purposefully kind of driving down the Bitcoin value so that once it kind of hits what will be considered the bottom, they'll all buy in at that low and then hold it while it rides up to the high. Is that kind of the game that gets played here?
Yeah, John, you probably speak to this from your banking background, right?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the fluctuation. go up and down when you think that the sentiment across the industry is really strong. And the only way that you can kind of determine the fluctuation is that because there's only a certain amount of the currency, the people that hold the most of it have the biggest ability to manipulate the price. So they can cause it to go up and down. And because of the automatic trading robots, there's ways of the algorithms that you can trigger certain things to happen by setting certain buys and sells. And you can make money by figuring out these algorithms. So with a system like this where there's only a limited supply, there's a huge ability to manufacture the price down to where you want it to be. But you know that when you manipulate or suppress something, it's like a rubber band. It winds and winds and winds, and it has to be let go at one point. And when that does, you want to be in the right place, and you're going to really see some amazing gains over time. So if you just think about it, like if you go back a year from now, Bitcoin was like $2,000. Now it's $6,500. So it's still 350% from what it was a year ago. When it's at its peak, at 20,000, that's 20 times, 10 times, whatever. So it goes up and down, but the overall, what we're trying to figure out today and explain to you is the difference between what you're currently dealing with and what cryptocurrency is. And if you understand the two differences, you will more likely invest in cryptocurrency other than putting money in the bank every single time. People really don't understand how risky money is in the banking system. I finally figured out how the banks derive their money, and it's I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole right now, but essentially when you put money into the bank, you're now a shareholder of that bank, and that bank lends out that money and it risks that money. And when there will come a time when their investments fail, and when those investments fail and the banks can no longer pay their debts, there is what's called a bail-in clause, and you signed that agreement when you signed on for your checking and savings account. And a bail-in is where the banks can legally steal depositors' money to pay for their debts. And so when there's a run on the banks, or when a bank closes its doors, it's literally saying, we can't afford to pay our debts, and we're going to take depositors' money and help pay our debt off. And some people say, well, okay, I have FDIC insurance. I have less than $250,000. Well, the next step is understanding that FDIC only has about 4% of the funds to cover the amount of money that's ever been created into the system. So you're never going to, if all the banks close, you're never going to get your money. So your money in the bank is at more risk than you think. And being decentralized, not having a centralized authority controlling your money is the key. And Bitcoin is great because you can have complete anonymous bank account. Okay, I hold money right here on a thumb drive, and I can carry billions of dollars on this thumb drive if I wanted to. And you can
even go so far as to memorize a seed code in your head and not even have it on a thumb drive. So it's just memorized in your head, and you're carrying $1 million in your head, essentially.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I wouldn't trust my memory.
Well, you memorize these 10 seed words. You memorize 10 words. It's risky. Well, and that to answer too, like there is the early the institutions have not bought into cryptocurrency yet. They're waiting for regulations. Right now, this is like the year of regulations, and we're going through all the regulations from the SEC and how like the powers that be are going to handle this new thing that's not going away. They haven't really addressed it because, hopefully it'll go away. It's not going away. It's kind of made like mainstream Google Trends. People know, like they've heard Bitcoin, they've heard these things, but it's still very volatile, very risky. And these institutions aren't going to buy in with their hundreds of millions of dollars until there's some regulations in place in order to protect that. And that's basically what we're going through right now. going through all of that so these big institutions can get comfortable to buying in. And yeah, I mean, those are some of the biggest things about blockchain. I mean, it's decentralized, meaning that nobody owns it. Like it's we all are in control of it. It's immutable, so you can't change any of the transactions. Like like we're a bank, you do a transaction with the bank. There's really the ability to hack that and change it and manipulate it. And so it's immutable. It's also censor resistant. And so meaning like even if the U.S. outlaws Bitcoin is still gonna exist. And I might be getting that off just there a little bit also. And so and it's peer to peer, so we can go directly between one person to the next person. We don't need that middleman, which the banks require a lot of fees when you're doing that. One of the things I think to watch for is most of these like tokens that are happening and all these like ICOs, initial coin offerings, which I think that Renee was talking about doing. There's a lot of those out there in the market right now. And most of those projects are going to be worth nothing in the future. Same thing with what happened with the internet bubble. When the internet started, I mean, it was this huge, everyone had a website. They had all these, and there was like all these, say 10 different websites for like pets.com. And all of them went bust. And now Amazon has risen to the top, and Amazon has like command of selling everything on the internet, but there was hundreds, thousands of websites that attempted to do that and failed. And the same thing's going to be happening here with cryptocurrencies and with blockchains. Is there's all these people jumping in to try and be Amazon, but there's only can be one Amazon. So it is risky and does take some management, but ultimately we're at the phase of being able to buy Amazon at a couple of cents, and now it's valued at thousands of dollars in the split.
And Stefan, when you say it's worth nothing, you mean on the market in the general terms of exchanging it for another type of currency. What these tokens were created for is for their community. It is worth something in that community, right? Because that's what it's created for, is to buy and sell within that community for those products and services within that community. That's where the value is for the tokens. And then when people see the value of that community, then it gets adopted into the mainstream exchanges, which you can exchange for other currencies. See, that's the key, is to figure out a way to create value for the masses. And a lot of people have this misconception that Bitcoin is $6,500 right now. And, well, I don't have $6,500, so I can't get Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin is divisible down to 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. And it's called a Satoshi, after the inventor or creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. So one Satoshi can literally be fractionalized down to, at one point, it was around like $1. I think now with the rise, it's, the minimum is around $10 a Satoshi. But it can be fractionalized, so it can be spent to buy anything. And the fork of Bitcoin is Litecoin. And Litecoin has 84 million tokens that were created. Now, the reason they created Bitcoin was for the store of value. And if you look at the Bitcoin symbol, it's a gold coin. If you look at the Litecoin symbol, it's a silver coin. They created Litecoin to be the payment, the token of payment. So that should be, and is being developed from the information that I'm getting, in the Lightning Network. And the Lightning Network is the fastest and cheapest way to send money back and forth between two entities. And they just did a test. They sent $900 million, and it cost less than like 50 cents. It was like 43 cents or something like that. It was unbelievable, and it happened almost instantaneous. This is the future of banking, sending money back and forth across countries. Instantaneous, super cheap, completely, it's anonymous because all you really have are these addresses, right? You don't have names attached. You don't have to have some kind of, certification of who you are. They call them, what is it called when you have to give up all your information? Anyway, just
So
trying to.
your KYC.
KYC, yeah, know your customer. You don't have to know who you're sending the money to and who's receiving it. It's freedom, okay? And we've had so much of our freedom taken away that this is a breath of fresh air. And I love having the power, knowing that I control my money. I know where it is at all times, and I can access it anytime I want. So I'm extremely excited about the future.
What do you think, Renee? Do you have some more questions, or should we maybe?
Yeah. Well, I have two areas that I would love just more on, or just to kind of dive into. One would be, as a newbie in this, where do you guys recommend getting started? Like, if somebody was going to be like, okay, like I think I want to take $100 and just start playing in crypto. Hey, what are the Caillou? Sorry, I have a pelican in my bedroom. What are the basis of getting started? And I don't know, that might be like a really big loaded question that is a whole, conversation in itself. But so there's that. And then
I want to say nothing we say is financial advice. I'm not I can't give financial advice, just to put that out there. But I can say what I'm doing.
There you go.
And what it looks like. So
great. So there's that one. And then the other one is, you both are really, like, you've really taken the dive into this rabbit hole. And obviously it's like, it's one of those rabbit holes that you could spend the rest of your life learning about, investigating, exploring, learning. But I would love to hear from each of you, like, what's your greatest hope and vision for what cryptocurrency is going to do for humanity?
Yeah, that's a great question. Love it.
I kind of think I should have my own Oprah show. Like, I should be the next Oprah.
Separate yourself from Oprah as much as possible.
Or, like a big, something like that. Do my own.
All right.
The nation.
Yeah. Let's see here. So, a lot of people start with this website called and Coinbase is a website that you basically establish an account, you set up your bank account, you link it to it, and it gives you the option to buy a couple different cryptocurrencies. The problem I have with Coinbase is it's heavily monitored. The information that you put on there is heavily monitored by the authorities, right? And
it will go to the IRS. It will get disclosed to the IRS.
Yeah. And so me personally, I'm trying to stay off the radar of any regulatory body with cryptocurrency as possible. So the one I recommend that I've used in the past is called Bitcoin of America. That's one really easy place. If you want to go online on a website, if you want to do it on your phone, I have a great app that I use called Abra, A-B-R-A. And it allows you to link your bank account and purchase about 20 different cryptocurrencies and exchange into about 50 different fiat currencies, all with one little application. And they hardly require any information. It's like your name and email address, and that's it. It's real simple. The more you can avoid giving your social security number to any of these places, the better. That's the key to getting what's called a 1099, right? Because when you buy Bitcoin and then you sell Bitcoin, right now, as it's it's in this phase of trying to be determined whether it's an investment, a currency, or whatever.
As it is right now, though, it does get taxed at capital gains if you sell it within 2 years.
Yeah.
So which is the one thing what I would say, to just put it real simply, sorry to interrupt just for a second, is, if you just buy $100 on Coinbase, hold it in the Coinbase wallet, and then just not touch it for 2 years, that's like a great place to start. Or even just buy in $100 a month for the next 2 years. You'll get a cost average of what that is. And then 3 to 5 years you sell it, and there's a potential for Bitcoin to be worth, some people say $1 million by 2020 or something like that.
So here's my take on that. And I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, buy now and then sell later. Well, for me, I'm never going to sell my Bitcoin, okay? I'm only going to convert it into another type of currency. And most likely it's not going to be the US dollar, because the whole goal of this cryptocurrency is to get away from the US dollar, right? So why would you go back to the US dollar? Only because that specific item or service that you want to purchase only accepts that. But that's changing. That will be changing. This is the year of usability. Everyone's coming out with the ability to use these cryptocurrencies. So like the time is now to adopt the currency, hold it, and then there will come a time when you will be able to have, like right now, I have this Visa, BitPay Visa card, right? And I can literally transfer Bitcoin to this Visa card and swipe my card wherever Visa is located. So a lot of people think, well, hey, I can't use my Bitcoin. Well, yes, you can. As long as that place takes Visa, you can, right? That's going to be getting easier and easier as time goes by. And my goal or my dream for the future of why I'm excited about cryptocurrencies is that the decentralization, because central banking system has destroyed us, has created us into, turns us into slaves, slaves to debt, slaves to money. And I hate the fact that that has happened to so many of us and has put us into the system that we're in right now. And I think cryptocurrency is going to allow us to get our freedom back. And the people that are waking up, the most brilliant people and minds right now that I'm, speaking to and connecting with that are open to cryptocurrencies are the people that are going to change the world for the better. And when we adopt this currency, we are going to be the ones that the biggest transfer of wealth is going to be happening over the next few years. And the transfer of wealth is going to go to the enlightened ones, the people that are waking up and realizing what's happening. And when you make the change from the old system to the new system, you are going to benefit the most. So that's my dream, is that all of us change makers are going to be wealthy in the future. And because we want what's best for the planet. So we're going to provide what's best for the planet with our newfound wealth.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. That's one of the, core missions of mine is, really helping to, one, re-educate or I guess just help shift some of the kind of so sometimes in spiritual circles there's a real there's this conflict. I know I had to work through it myself and continue to work through it, but there's this conflict of, having money is somehow not spiritual, and, why should we have money, and that's materialistic, and And I think I think that rift is really healing. And I think that, again, if we can, really drive it home to the core of our beings of like, let's redistribute the wealth. Let's put wealth and absolute abundance into the hands and the hearts of the people that really, really care, and that they're going to make really good decisions for this planet, for our communities, for our people, for our children. And that the more I'm learning about the cryptocurrency thing, the more I think this is actually one of the main vehicles for that massive shift of wealth. That's basically what you're seeing, John, and what you feel can happen.
100%. I feel
awesome.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about that, because the people that I'm connecting with and that are on this level are brilliant people that have always wanted what's best for the planet. And majority of the people that are in these chat rooms and developing these currencies are just these brilliant people that don't want what the central banking system has been doing to us, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about freedom and an exchange of value. As long as you feel like you're exchanging value back and forth and you're getting what you feel as, a good form of payment. That's what it's all about. I mean, I wish we could go back to trade, but that just won't work with the way that our whole planet's been indoctrinated into this, paper money.
So you see cryptocurrency as almost like the modern day form of trade. It's exchanging value.
Yeah, it's in a weird way. I mean, because it's a digital form of money, right? There's no actual physical form of it. So in a sense, you're just trading, products and services back and forth with, whatever you consider is the benefit to it. In a strange way, it's almost going from, to having no money at all, which is how it should be. But it's, it's more complicated than that, but that's how I see it. I see it as a freedom tool. And the more you understand it, the more you realize what it is, I think the more you're going to want to own it and hold it.
Awesome. Stefan, you want to speak to the bigger vision and hope for what cryptocurrency is going to do for our world?
Yeah, just briefly on that. I mean, I echo exactly what John's saying. I mean, it's incredible. It allows the power to stay in the people's hands. The fiat currency system is inflationary and continually siphons off huge percentages of people's wealth. I mean, you saw that just in the 2008 housing crisis, how many people lost their entire pensions. And, we don't see it. We saw that in the US, but even like at a more global scale, some of these unstable countries, like in Argentina, in one generation, their dollar went to zero 3 different times. And so if you had $100,000 in the bank, like almost overnight, that $100,000 was worthless. And so then say you built it back up again to $100,000, it became worthless again. And so with the cryptocurrency, with blockchain, I mean, with Bitcoin, that doesn't happen unless the internet shuts down. And then in addition, like with blockchain, the potential with what the technology that blockchain can provide is really incredible. From not only having your housing information on there. So like for one instance, is like, so you have a mortgage on your house. Say you're in Syria and you own this house. You can put your mortgage and your ownership on the blockchain. Syria crumbles. You are a refugee. You have to leave. Goes through chaos. Governments get overthrown. All records get destroyed. You come back. Someone's living in your house. You're like, hey, man, you're in my house. And this happens. Like, this is happening around the world all the time. Hey, man, you're in my house. They're like, well, prove it. You have no way to prove that that's your house. The governments, the justice system that was there in the beginning doesn't even exist. So now, but if it's on the blockchain, you're like, yeah, look, it's here. And the blockchain's decentralized, meaning that nobody owns it. It's everywhere. It's stored with the miners. And so, which we haven't even talked about the miners, but it's stored on the network on the planet. And there's no way to manipulate that. I mean, once it's set, it's there. And so, and I mean, the list of what blockchain can do, I mean, just goes on and on and on for how it just takes the power out of the elite few and puts it back into our hands, in the hands of the. I
mean, imagine a world where all these corporations, major corporations that control our everyday life, have transparency and accountability. Are you kidding me? We don't have any of that. Our government is completely.
The government has transparency.
Yeah.
We actually get to see where the money goes.
Blockchain is going to change the whole game, and every business.
$4
trillion last year.
You're seeing the possibility that the blockchain technology will actually be used on a global scale to hold accountability.
100%.
That's
absolutely.
That would be awesome. I mean, that would be.
If all IRS transactions were on the blockchain, anyone could look and see, hey, where did my taxes go? Where did our taxes go? We're not just having to rely on their record keeping, which is extremely inaccurate. I don't know the exact number, but I think they lost I don't know, is it 4 trillion or 4 billion or something, some crazy amount of money every year that just goes unaccounted for. Mm-hmm. We don't know what happened to these billions and billions of dollars. Where on the blockchain, it's all there and it can't ever be changed. And you can see, yep, the US government collected X amount of money and this is where the government spent their money. And it's right there for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That'd be amazing. Veronica was affirming that she said it was the 4 trillion you were saying.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm wondering if any of you folks that are here have questions yourselves. You could see. Let's see. Nancy says, "Can you explain simply the difference between crypto? What was it? It just disappeared
Crypto,
on me."
blockchain, and Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. So Bitcoin is the currency. It's a cryptocurrency, right? So that's one and the same. And then the blockchain is what the currency runs off of. It's like it's the software behind the currency. Okay.
So the blockchain is kind of like the information network held in the.
So it's held on a bunch of different computers, and miners will have their computers. And so for a transaction to take place, essentially the miners will compete for validation. And so that's where the cryptography comes in, that they have to solve this cryptography that then validates the block. And so then says, yes, this is legitimate. This transaction that's trying to take place, like say transferring this mortgage, this is legitimate. And so then they go and put it on the blockchain. All these blockchains are open source, meaning that you or I right now, we can go on the Bitcoin blockchain and we can look at every transaction that's taken place from every wallet. And so that's like there for anybody to see. Once you get there, then it's like on the blockchain forever. And essentially it's just stored on all the computers, on all the nodes. All the master nodes have the most up-to-date version of the ledger, essentially.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. So I just came up with. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, everyone, for
Is that
taking the
Jill?
time to be here.
Yeah, you bet.
Hey, Veronica.
I'm learning a lot. So what I'm curious to know, Renee and I, for example, were just at lunch a couple weeks ago. We saw an ATM, and it had the blockchain symbol on it. So what I'm the most concerned about, and let me know if this is right, if I'm understanding it, because I want to explain it to other people. So how it sits now, your balance that you have that's kept in this network, it's going to fluctuate according to where it's at. Like right now it's at 65, such and such. And when I go to spend it, such as the Visa card you have, or such as I go to my ATM blockchain, my balance is going to revolve around how much that particular currency is presently worth. Is that right?
Yeah. It's so depending on what currency you're trying to evaluate it against, most likely you're in the United States and you're thinking about the US dollar value. It's funny how everyone says, well, the Bitcoin price is the one that's fluctuating. Well, Bitcoin price is always going to be one price. It's the dollar price that's fluctuating against the Bitcoin price, okay? So,
Got it.
yeah, Bitcoin, like if you have 0.5 Bitcoin, you will always have 0.5 Bitcoin. That's not fluctuating. It's the cash value, purchasing
right now,
power of it, right?
Yeah, and it's going through some really dramatic volatility right now as it goes through the price discovery. But as more and more people and more institutions come in, that price will stabilize. And it'll be like, yeah, you can buy a car for 2 Bitcoin or whatever. I mean, that's not accurate, but like prices will be more set in Bitcoin as we get more comfortable with what its value is.
Okay. Thank you. I was just curious because for so long it was just theoretical, but now I'm seeing how it's actually tangible, because that's great and awesome. Thank you.
You bet. And Veronica, when you said you saw an ATM with the blockchain symbol, you mean the B, the gold B? That's
Yeah.
the,
What was
I think it was the Bitcoin symbol.
that's called the
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Just want to make sure you're explaining it correctly. So the
Okay.
Bitcoin symbol on the ATM, you can literally go over there, and I think you can enter your debit card and purchase.
And they'll just toss me out some cash like an ATM, but they're drawing from my account that's
The
with
Bitcoin.
my ownership of how many Bitcoins I have.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you bet. And
Mhm.
Did Thaddeus have a question? Does he? It
Perfect.
looks like Thad has
I
his,
do. Yeah, can you hear me there?
yes.
Yeah.
So I have 3 questions, and some of this I think you already answered. One would be, what do you think is the biggest misconception around cryptocurrency or blockchain? And 2 would be, what do you think the one thing is that everyone absolutely must know about cryptocurrency or blockchain? And then the last question would be, what is the one thing that everyone absolutely must do tonight, right now, surrounding that?
Oh, you're asking for some financial advice, it sounds like. Okay, so the first one was what
Most
the
common misconception? Is that what I think that was the first
misconception,
one?
yeah.
What do you think is the most common myth or misconception around?
For me, I think a lot of people think that they can't spend it and buy the things that they want. Truly, they feel like, okay, well, yes, I'm going to invest. I don't like the term invest, guys. Invest in Bitcoin. It's a currency. You're trading one currency for another. You're not investing. You're literally transferring one fiat currency that's, you know, a Ponzi scheme that's going to be going down in value for another currency that over time is going to be worth a lot more, in my opinion. Okay, right? So that's the common misconception. Number two.
Can I answer that too? Number two. The one is that it's a bubble, and Bitcoin is it's not a bubble. It'll definitely go through cycles, but it's passed through that early adoption phase, and it's not going anywhere. And even so much as they're doing these things is they call Bitcoin anti-fragile, which means that the more shock and the more like attack that it comes under, the stronger that it gets. Kind of like humans with exercise. When you exercise, you get stronger. The same thing with Bitcoin. The longer it's around, the more shocks that it has. I mean, each day that goes by, it's stronger and stronger. So Bitcoin is not a bubble. It's not going anywhere. It's here for the long haul.
Yeah, for sure. Refresh my memory, Thaddeus, about the number two.
Sorry, I muted myself. I muted it. Do you remember? Sorry, Stefan, were you going to say it?
With the number two was the one thing that everybody must know about blockchain and Bitcoin. The one thing that everybody must know.
Yeah.
No. You want to take that one first? Let me think about that.
The one that everybody must know is that initially it can sound like daunting to try and come to understand all the terms, but it's just like anything. You just start. You start wherever you're at. Okay, and what's the easiest, action step? Get on Coinbase, link your bank account, throw in $10, and just start that process and be like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then move from there. And then, you can go as deep down the rabbit hole as you want and getting so intricate with different ways to buy money, with store it and all that. But really just starting with the first step and just like learning any skill, it becomes so much easier. When I was starting, like I'm looking at all these terms and I'm like, what? I have no idea, but then just kept reading. And then eventually like I knew what this term meant and this term meant. And then it started to click and I'm like, whoo, the light bulb goes off. And then now it's becoming seemingly simple when in the beginning it was not simple, so it really is simple. You just got to start it. You just got to start moving forward, which you guys already are by just even being here, which is awesome. Congratulations for that.
Yeah. To me, the one thing you need to know is that cryptocurrency is the banking of the future. I completely believe that. I've been saying it for 3 years, and it's funny because 3 years ago, people were looking at me like I'm a lunatic. What are you talking about? That could never work. And now everyone's begging me for information. And so that's why Stefan and I decided, hey, we just need to get on here and start teaching people pro bono. This is exactly what people need is education. Because remember, the only thing that keeps you from doing something is fear. And the only thing that eliminates fear is knowledge. So the more knowledge you obtain about something, the less fear you'll have, and you'll be able to make an accurate decision on what to do. So that's why we're here, to educate and eliminate fear. And banking of the future is completely what I foresee. The things that I'm hearing, down to employers, big time employers, using the blockchain and certain cryptocurrencies to pay their employees, right? Imagine being able to hit one button and all the paychecks go out to everybody's account immediately. It would cut down on so much cost. The cost of production of paychecks and the payroll. That whole companies spend so much money on payroll. So that's one aspect of how it's going to be changing in the future. So, and then what was number 3?
What the action step? What I think what he said was what's the one thing that everyone needs to go home tonight and do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be to start the process of purchasing it, right? And then using it so you can see how it works. I think that would be a very important step, so you can see that it is has a real life usability factor.
Right. Yeah. Jump on Coinbase and, buy $10 or, I mean, maybe not Coinbase is the best one. I'd say that for simplicity reasons for it being, but I know you have some recommendations that you think are better.
Yeah, I know that they make it too easy, but if you just look out there, Bitcoin Wallet, or if you go online to, like I said, Abra, you can literally just sit on your couch and go onto Abra Wallet and do everything right there.
Abra Wallet.
I love that. I'm just seeing here in the chat that my friend Jill said, I signed up with Bittrex. Is Coinbase preferred? ?
Yeah, so Bittrex is an exchange, right? So an exchange is, kind of like a stock exchange area where you submit your Bitcoin to the Bittrex account, and then you can trade your Bitcoin for all the other currencies that are actively trading in the Bittrex network. And so your money is actually stored on the Bittrex wallet. And so Bittrex actually holds your cryptocurrency. So you don't want to hold your Bitcoin or cryptocurrency on the exchange for too long, because at that moment you don't own the Bitcoin or current crypto. So once you're done trading it and you found the coins that you want, you pull it back off and you put it into the correct wallet. And that's a whole nother conversation of wallets and stuff like that. And I don't want to cover that here. I just want to go over the basics of what it is and understanding the difference between fiat and crypto. So that
which the Coinbase and the Abra is where you can essentially take your cash and from real world and buy the Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have the Bitcoin, if you want to exchange that, then you can go to an exchange like Bittrex and you can exchange that back and forth. But like John was saying, when you transfer your Bitcoin to Bittrex in exchange, you're no longer in control of your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin essentially now in a centralized location, which is this business that's running the exchange. They have your private keys. They have your Bitcoin. You're not in control of it. So if that business goes under, it gets hacked, something like that, you'll lose your Bitcoin as opposed to it being safely stored with you. Either, you can have like the Abra wallet, or you can even store it like in the Ledger Nano that you can store your cryptocurrencies in the Ledger Nano that John said. And so then you're in control of the Bitcoin and you hold it. So if you're exchanging, you do it on the exchange. And then like John said, once you're done with the exchange, you move it off the exchange into a more secure wallet. And absolutely in any of these things, you have to set up the two-factor authentication and then go through the Google Authenticator, not through sending a text message or anything like that. Download Google Authenticator. There's another one, and absolutely have that set up, because somebody will hack your password and they will steal your cryptocurrency. It happens a lot. It's easy to hack someone's password, but extremely difficult if you have the two-factor identification on. So absolute must do that.
Cool. Awesome. Well, you guys, I think, does anybody else have one last question? I think, we've gone about an hour and this has just been awesome information. I feel like the conversation's still just really getting started. Anybody else? Last chance for this one anyways.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Just real quick. When you transfer like in an exchange, is it similar to when you like travel to another country and then you're subject to what this coin you're transferring in is worth in those other coins?
No. I mean, you're still transferring Bitcoin, and it's still worth whatever Bitcoin is, right? So it's not a different exchange rate. It's still Bitcoin. What the exchanges allow you to do is trade it for another cryptocurrency. So, and how the exchanges make money is transaction fees. So every time you exchange it, they get a little percentage, small fee. So they're like the middleman. And exchanges probably won't exist too much in the future the way they do right now, because right now it's more difficult to buy a lot of these different cryptocurrencies. But in the future, there's going to be wallets that you hold your cryptocurrency in that you're going to be able to trade internally for all the different cryptocurrencies. They're going to be more interchangeable, direct, because it's going to be more of a common payment system. Right now, these exchanges are taking advantage of the fact that, you know, the cryptocurrencies can't interconnect very easily. So they're being like the middleman, exchanging each one and converting the value back and forth and taking a fee for it, and then giving you back whatever you purchased.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, does that help you?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right that as the technology develops, it will be a lot easier to trade those and the decentralized exchanges, or not even the exchanges in general, they're writing the code and figuring out how they're writing the code in order to transfer those tokens back and forth through different blockchains. And it's just, you know, we're so new in this technology that it's just developing. I mean, it's in the very infancy of its development and where it will go. And I don't think we really can begin to comprehend where it'll be in 5 years from now. And yeah, there'll be a lot of innovation for sure.
So people who bought Bitcoin in the very, 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 very early days, what did they buy it for? A few cents a coin? What was the starting price of Bitcoin? Anybody know?
Originally, it wasn't valued at anything. Like it was only valued at what somebody would pay for it. But then, yeah, I mean, it was pennies and a few dollars.
Mm-hmm. So there are Bitcoin millionaires out there.
There are people that saw.
Well, yeah, the twins, the Facebook
guys.
Winklevoss twins. Okay, right? They were the first Bitcoin billionaires, right? So they took their settlement from Facebook and actually invested in Bitcoin. But let's go back to the story you guys might have heard about the guy that first bought 2 large pizzas with 10,000 Bitcoin. Okay?
That's a real story.
20 cents at that time, and 10,000 Bitcoins today is like hundreds of millions of dollars or something ridiculous, right? Mm. So that goes to show you that, you know, the early adopters, the people that got in early, are really going to reap the benefits. And we're still in that phase, guys. I'm telling you, we're still in that 3%, 2 to 3%. And we still have a long way to go. I say the next 3 to 4 years is going to be tremendous adoption. Then we'll get into more mainstream. It'll start to level off. Volatility will level off. And so enjoy the ride while you can.
So those of us that start playing in this now are still part of that early adoption, and
yes.
And can, if we get engaged and involved and start, you know, playing in this realm, there's lots of potential for great success.
100%. Yeah. Look, long term.
Cool.
Long term.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. Super exciting.
Definitely.
Well, this has been awesome. You guys want to close it out any certain way, or?
I mean, it is the technology of the future, just like the internet was. And, you know, I remember when the internet first started and you started to see like websites, like, oh, this person has a website advertised on their, like, it was weird, right? And like, that's, you know, where we're at. We're just at that point to where businesses are starting to accept Bitcoin. I'm starting to accept that within my tree business and giving people the option. Yeah, if you want to pay me in Ethereum, we can do that. And so we're like just at that cusp of where it's switching out of the innovation into the early adopters, just the same way the internet did when there was no websites anywhere, and then all of a sudden you started to see them, and the next thing you knew, if you were going to be successful, you had to have an internet or a website. Same thing for businesses. If you're going to be successful, you're going to have to tokenize.
Awesome.
And I see a question from Jill's iPhone, and so she asked, you know, if you go to Bitcoin, will it show me how to buy fractions? So whenever you go to an exchange or a place to purchase the Bitcoin, you're just going to tell them how much money you want to buy in Bitcoin, and it's going to convert it to the exact fraction of that dollar figure for you. You don't have to do any mathematical equation. It's really easy. Super simple, guys. So yeah, I know there's many more questions to come, and letting all this information stew is going to bring up a lot more information. I'm going to go ahead and post my website. You guys can contact me there. Email me, anything you want. I'm here to serve and, you know, share knowledge. So I love it. That's what I'm passionate about. So I'm here to help. If anybody's got credit issues, anybody's looking to, you know, start a business, raise money for a business, I'm very knowledgeable in all those arenas, and I'm here to help out.
Great. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
If anyone wants to get a hold of me, Twitter is a great resource also for cryptocurrency stuff. You can find me on Twitter, Stefan Gala 108. So if you want to get a hold of me, any Facebook, also.
Stefan Gala 108 is your Twitter handle.
Yeah. And Twitter,
I hear Twitter is the crypto platform of communication.
It's probably the leader. There's other Reddit and things, but Twitter is where it's happening right now as far as crypto sentiment.
Good to know. Well, maybe we can do another one of these after those of us PMBers, we're all descending into Denver and hopefully coming back with a lot of really exciting information that maybe you guys can help us digest. So perhaps we can have another one of these in the next week or two. I'd love that.
Yeah, you got it. Sounds good, guys.
Awesome.
Aloha, everybody. Have a good one.
Night, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Sure.